Just off the Winder Highway and right across the road from Lanier Raceplex sits one of the most challenging and most entertaining road courses that you can find in North America, if not the world. It is, of course, Road Atlanta, nestled into the hills of Brazelton, Georgia, home, of course, to the Petit Le Mans, and today home to round number 8 of the Dallara Formula IR Series. Hello, one and all, and welcome to Friday Night Primetime here on RaceSpotTV. Nola Rempo with you once again, with Ryan Walker standing beside me in the commentary box, and Connor Matic, as always, behind the cameras for today's race. Road Atlanta is an incredibly famous track. I mean, where do we even begin? Why don't we start at turn 2 and make our way quite literally down from there through the S's, which is one of the most defining features of the track. Don't forget that final turn as well, which is almost flat out in a majority of the cars here on the surface. I think, though, Ryan, the point to watch for today will be turns 10A and 10B, making up the final chicane coming off the long backstretch.
Yeah, you've got that run on the back straight, and it's one of those passing opportunities. If you're behind someone, you can get a great run on them heading down to that final chicane. Yeah, you can try and make a move, but I think it's all about getting that momentum at entering the back straight as well, because you want to carry as much speed as possible. So I wouldn't be surprised either if you see some incidents into that final chicane if people are bunched up in a pack.
Qualifying at the moment is underway. We're watching one of the drivers just slinging his way onto the back straightaway. I believe we're watching Marco Sanfilippo here in that number 3 machine. He's currently sitting 3rd fastest on the boards. He has got to put himself up by about a second, though, if he wants to beat Tim Delisle's pull time. Delisle 4/10 up to 2nd place driver Steve Honan. Only 15 cars in today's field. The field of 29 register was split up in 2 for today's race. People is going to bring it down to the pit road. He was just staying out for that one extra in lap.
Yep, he's coming into the pits now, but even if you finish the qualifying laps, some drivers sometimes seem to go around and use it as extra practice. So at the moment, as a rider on board with Ruben Denker heading through the S's and up into this, on the exit of the S's, and the exit of the S's, Nolan, is one of the trickiest to get right, because also you've got a bump on the exit, and if you take too much exit curb and go over that bump, it can unsettle the car, and sometimes it'll throw you into the wall. But as Denker comes onto the back straight now, and it looks to be a decent lap at the moment, and yeah, it's all about the back straight. I love, because if you're behind someone and you get a great run, you can get by them, but sometimes it can go horribly wrong into this final chicane, what Denker's coming into now, and it looks like he's on a decent lap at the moment.
Denker is a name we have not seen really before in the series, so one of the soft tires, he's running the soft tire supports. You have the Joyce Tire compounds, so Ruben Denker looking to see what he can make here. He is currently sitting 13th place, 2.7 seconds down from your overall race leader, whose lap times is just 56.7 seconds. Take a look back up to Marco Sanfilippo. Once again, the driver who has finished up all of his laps. He's coming back down to pit road. Looks like what he is trying to do is just kind of focus on pit entry and pit exit, which is going to be extremely crucial in this race.
Yep, absolutely. As we look at the 12th car of Adam Cohen at the moment coming into the final chicane, and again, it looks to be a decent lap, but his quickest has been a 1.01 as he's coming up around the line now. Can he improve? No, he can't.
1 minute and 1.416 was his last time by. That is going to be good enough for 14th. He's the only driver so far to set a time in the 1 minute range. Less than 2 minutes remaining in qualifying. As we've seen, though, from everybody up of Adam Cohn, that is still enough time to get a full lap in here. Will not be enough, though, if you're just coming out of pit road. So it looks like the field is going to be sitting as it stands right now.
Yeah, it looks like everyone's pretty much finished their qualifying laps now, so we've still got about just under 1 minute 20 in the session. So maybe some people that have finished the laps might use it as a chance to maybe practice starts, getting off the line. So yeah, some people might do that, or some people might try and practice pit entry as well, because yeah, that pit entry at Road Atlanta is really tricky to get right with it being so tight.
It is extremely difficult to get right. Don't discount as well the little squiggly bit that you got on the pit entry as well. I'll tell you what, we're probably going to be in for a very entertaining first lap. We saw last week at Watkins Glen what happens when a lot of drivers just get a little bit too eager off the line. We saw a massive pileup in the run to turn number 2. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar heading downhill through the S's here at Road Atlanta, just because of the nature of the track, and not to mention the nature of the cars as well.
Yeah, absolutely, especially with the cold tyres as well. Heading through the S's is so difficult, the entry of the S's as well, because you've got to take so much of that care on the entry. It can sometimes unsettle the car, but yeah, everyone's done their qualifying laps, and yeah, amazingly, we've still got some time left in the session by the looks of it. There's yeah, 15 seconds remaining in the session.
And just 15 seconds remaining. Count that down to 10 now. We are coming to the close of qualifying. No other times will be set today. The only driver to not set a time is Radex Sikora, who might just be started for the pit road. We'll have to see if he makes it onto the starting grid or whether he's just choosing not to qualify, which is sometimes a better option if you're not so used to the track. Qualifying's over, though. Let's take a run down at the starting grid. Tim DeLisle starts on the pole. 4/10 back exactly is Steve Honan, with Marco Sanfilippo started in third. Omar Baja rounds out row number 2. Rounding out the top 5 is Danilo Sanfilippo. Philip Freckleton rounds out row number 3 with row 4 holding Jacob Uberslack and Cal Young. The top 10 is finished off by Thomas Zine in 9th and Pablo Suarez in 10th. Rashad Craig in 11th. Ruben Denker in 12th. Andrews 13th. Adam Cohn in 14th with Radex Sikora rounding out a 15th car field coming into today's race. No time set for the driver from Central Eastern Europe. So a 15-car field getting set to rumble. It's going to be a full pace lap for these drivers. Only 5 so far have taken to the starting grid. Some guys might be looking to make those last-minute adjustments before we go green here.
Yep, absolutely, and also with this being yeah, basically a full pace lap, but it gives a chance for the drivers to just get into rhythm, get into that mindset before the race gets underway, and just kind of decide what are they going to do. Are they going to try and attack straight away, or go for it straight away, or maybe just play the long game, because it is 49 laps. Some drivers rather might be on the hard tyres instead of the soft and the medium tyres. So it'll be interesting to see what some of these drivers do with regards to tyre strategy.
This is going to be a very interesting race. I have a feeling that with the smaller field size, we're going to see a lot of, really crazy racing early on, and then it's going to kind of separate after maybe lap 8 or so, and we'll kind of see it go to a little more of a processional style from there, where the times kind of fluctuate back and forth. We might see some battles pick up again as we get close to the pit window. Should note as well, we do, of course, have multiple tire combos that you can run. A majority of drivers, though, this week are starting on the soft tires. I believe out of the 15-car field, only 5 are going to be starting on the mediums. Those drivers are Pablo Suarez, Adam Cohn, Jacob Uberslack, then Steve Honan, and Danilo Sanfilippo starting out on the mediums as well, which is interesting because Marco Sanfilippo is on the softs.
Yeah, it's interesting, and also I just checked in the chat as well. Omar Baja, who qualified in 4th, unfortunately had a throughput error, so he's joined the session again. But I think unfortunately he's going to have to start from the pit lane.
Not the start at all that Omar Baja wanted. It's always a shame when you see a driver booted out of contention so early. Now here's the big question. Are we going to see another round of Tim DeLisle domination? That's been the story. This really has been, the Tim DeLisle show out in front for the past really 3 or 4 races now.
I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, the positive sim racing driver is really quick for this car, as he's demonstrated over the past few weeks. He took a dominant win at Watkins Glen last week, and can he do it again at Road Atlanta? You never know. But with the tight, twisty nature of Road Atlanta or the bouncy nature as well, in some corners, don't be surprised if he makes an error. But we'll just wait and see.
Just wait and see indeed. So the field is just now coming on down the back straightaway for what is going to be the only time today behind the safety car. Your final thoughts here, Ryan, as we enter what would normally be a DRS zone for some of the other open wheel cars.
I'm looking forward to this race. I think it should be a good one. And yeah, we've only got 15 cars, but Road Atlanta, it never fails to amaze up great racing, and I think this will be no exception. But I'll just waiting to see what happens at the start, especially with that S's section.
29 degrees Celsius, the temperatures down there on course, 22 in the air, so relatively warm track today. So that will no doubt make this track very fast as well. As the official iRacing Porsche 911 GT3 pace car starts to pull on down the pit road, it's now in the hands of Tim DeLisle. who is already moving at 70 miles an hour. As he goes over the hill, he gets tunneled out pedal. We are green flag racing here at Road Atlanta. Great jump there from Tim Delisle and the blast down to turn number 1. Behind, Sanfilippo having to fend off Dylan Freckleton for the 4th position as they almost go side by side to turn number 1. So far, though, we're clean through turn 1 with no incidents.
As they head through the S's now, and Tim Delisle, look at the gap he's building up already. He just got a great start off the line on the exit of the final corner and just got a great launch, but at the moment he's building up a gap already. And Steve Horan in 2nd place is struggling to keep in touch with him, but at the moment, it's I don't want to jinx it, but it's been so far so good.
Just as you say that, Pablo Suarez was just taken out back, and you see him spinning off right at the top of the screens. 2 cars have gone off at the top end of the circuit. That is Pablo Suarez. He got tapped by Ruben Denker. Both drivers slamming into the tire barriers in turn number 7. Is going to see 2 drivers out of the race very early today.
Yep, and yeah, I said it was so far so good. Maybe I should have kept my mouth shut, but looking at the replay now as they come into this double right-hander, and it looks like both of them. Oh, I just looked like a bit of netcode.
That's a big one right there for sure. Another driver that's just had big developments up front is actually Marco Sanfilippo. Just crashed out of 2nd place in turn number 1. You see him right there trying to rejoin the track, but that's at turn 1, and that is a very fast right-handed machine. So that is a huge drop that he's just had there. Take a look at this like coming off the final corner, blasting down the front straightaway, and we're going to watch here as he enters the corner, just barely clips the grass and goes screaming off, slams the tire barriers, and he is out of the race.
Yep, that was unfortunate, and yeah, that earlier incident, I had another look at it, and it was just a tiny bit of contact, but nothing major, and I apologise for my earlier prediction about that incident with Suarez.
Looks like everybody's still kind of sitting single file for now. Already, you're starting to see the gaps grow amongst the top 4 here. There you can see the battle first among the first 4 drivers. It's about I want to say about 3.5 seconds between Steve Honan and Cal Young. That's the gap between 1st and 4th. Right now, the closest drivers to the top 4 are 2nd and 3rd at the moment. Danilo Sanfilippo trying to fend off Dylan Freckleton just as he was right from the start of the race, and he just battled for the 2nd position.
Yeah, something's happened to Tim Delisle. Something's happened to him, but he's in the pits. I'm just looking now, and I don't know what happened to him, but I'm just having a look around his car, and I can't see any signs of damage, but as we're just about to look at the replay now, and it looks like it all looks fine at the moment as he's coming down the back straight.
He's got some front wing damage, right? I'm looking at him in the pits right now, and he's out of the car, too.
Well, I don't know. He's heading down to the final chicane. It's still looking fine. Is it maybe clipped the grass on the outside? Nope, it's not clipped it. And the exit of the chicane, it looks fine, and he just pulls in.
That is super strange there from Tim Delisle. I'm still looking back so we can try to figure out what went wrong. Let's go into live picks for now. And okay, I've just found. Steve Honan has had a big off. We'll get back to Tim Delisle in a moment, but Steve Honan has just screamed into the tire barriers as well. So a huge off for Honan. This track is extremely unforgiving, and a lot of these drivers are finding that early on. So Road Atlanta claims yet another victim.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the replay from my end of Tim Delisle to see what happened, and it looks like he just got a wheel spin on the exit of the S's and just hit the tyres.
There was Steve Honan in that number 4 car that also went into the tire barriers. And Tim Delisle basically did the same thing a few corners later. And what happened to him, it was on lap 2, he actually came to a dead stop in the tires as well. So Tim Delisle is effectively out of the race as well. So the Tim Delisle domination not going to play a factor at all. So all of a sudden, that battle for 2nd, count that for the battle for the race lead now. Danilo Sanfilippo, can he fend off Dylan Freckleton behind him? Because at this point in time, Freckleton is really trying to hound those mirrors. Oh, he slides wide, though, at the entry and nearly spins it out as well.
I think we're in for a great race now. We were talking about it before the broadcast with only 15 cars, but at the moment we've been given a bit of a shock, and Daniel Sanfilippo is in the lead with Dylan Freckleton in 2nd, and just there in the background in 3rd as well, we've got Cal Young.
What did I tell you? Atlanta is a very exciting track. Doesn't matter how many cars you got, it will always give you something to talk about, and it certainly did just there. I think that's one of the first times you've seen Tim Delisle make such a costly error so early on. that has certainly put him out of the race, no doubt. Such a shame for him as well that that had to happen to him. Another driver that is out of the race is Ruben Denker. He's one of the only other drivers that went off. He was, of course, a driver that was collected in that lap 1 incident, and then took a bit of a moment on his own later on in the race. Saw him kicked out of the running order as well. Right on board, though, with Dylan Freckerton as we dive back down to the S's for the 6th time today.
Yeah, they're just riding behind the leader, Daniel Sanfilippo, as well. And yeah, Dylan's having a good race at the moment, but I have to say, Nolan, it's Road Atlanta doing the same. He's carrying on that reputation that it's got for carrying up a shock, and at the moment it's happening.
For the battle for the lead, can Dylan Freckleton run down Danilo Sanfilippo? He's got the draft all the way down the long back straightaway through the right-hand kink at turn number 9, blasted down to turn 10. Freckleton's going to dive it up the inside for the lead. Sanfilippo cannot fight back. He's going to have to run wide for turn 10B. That now puts him under fire from Cal Young for the 2nd position. Now, the soft tires are reigning supreme right now, and all the drivers that are in this battle for the race lead are on soft, save for, of course, 4th and 2nd place right now, Jacob Uberslack. And right now, I think the soft tires are definitely what's helping these guys have all the speed so far.
Yeah, the soft tyres are good to have, especially in the early stages. The early stages seem to be the quicker tyre, but towards the end of a stint, or towards the end of a run anyway, the soft tyres seem to drop off, and that's when the medium tyres seem to come into the mix, and they seem to have that better advantage overall.
You see the tire compounds of what everybody's running at the moment on screen. Of course, drivers that are not on the track are not being shown at the moment. You see Steve Hohn, Tim Delisle, and Ruben Denker all in the pits. Also out of the race are Adam Cohn, Marcus Sanfilippo, and Pablo Suarez. Here we go. P2 heating up now. Cal Young trying to make a dive over here, almost making contact. That would have been wheel to wheel, which would have certainly been terrible for Danilo Sanfilippo, and Sanfilippo just barely manages to cover Young off.
Yeah, he was a lucky. Sanfilippo was a lucky boy to keep Cal Young behind, but Cal Young's under attack now from Jacob Oberslack in 4th place as they're heading up into the S's now. And Cal Young runs wide, so does Oberslack.
Oberslack takes the escape road, nearly cleans out Thomas Scene as he comes back onto the track and then nearly into the grass again. And Road Atlanta is really catching everybody out. This is a track that is certainly not suited for these cars at all. You have so little downforce when you're sliding back, when you're moving down the hill, and these cars are so downforce dependent. Look at the replay. There was Uberslack, who's going to have a slowdown penalty for that. Nearly wipes Thomas Scene out, though, when he comes back onto the course.
Yeah, it was a bit of a silly rejoin by Jacob there. He could have slowed down a little bit and been more aware of what's around him, but manages to get back on the track and just without any issues. But at the moment,
he's off the track again,
he's off
just there. Oberslack is off again, and this time just barely nicks the concrete barrier on the exit of turn 10B. That's the final chicane. He is going to drop all the way down the running order. This is going to throw Oberslack right down into 7th now. He was up there battling for podium positions originally. Let's take a look at another replay.
Yep, so he's heading down to the final chicane now. And it looks like he might have just probably on the exit of the chicane. Oh, he runs wide on the entry of the chicane rather, and just carries too much speed.
You can see him trying to get the car, desperately trying to get the car turned out, but he just couldn't make it. It just gave the wall the tiniest of little kisses. Well, this has meant now that we have effectively only got 9 cars left in the race, and we've still got 40 laps to go at the line. It's going to be about 1.7 seconds between Freckleton and Sanfilippo. The closest gap at the moment is between 2nd and 3rd of about 1.5 seconds. Cal Young still trying to run Danilo Sanfilippo down.
Yeah, I'm amazed that we've only got 9 cars basically running, and we're only on the start of lap 10, so still a long way to go in this race. But at the moment, like I said before, knowing this race is just throwing up a bit of a spanner in the works, if you like.
It certainly has, and this is kind of what we were discussing before. This is probably going to be one of those races where we get a lot of attrition in the early stages of the race just because of how the track is. I mean, it's so difficult to be able to properly, run here in this track, and these guys are really finding that out the hard way. Right now, a new closest battle is starting to brew as well, further down the order. And we got one between Omar Baja and Thomas Zine about 7/10 apart. this is for 4th and 5th right now. They're, I believe, heading down the back straightaway at the moment as well. In fact, they are. The gap is closing half a second now. Omar Baja is looking to continue to move his way back up to where he started in 4th.
Yeah, but Omar's had a great recovery considering he had to start from the pits. Yeah, some people have had issues and retired from the race, but nevertheless, Omar's having a great race so far, a great recovery in P5 as he goes from the move for P4 into turn 1 on Thomas Zenny, and he manages to get the move done.
Zenny absolutely let him through there, no doubt about that one. Saw how fast he was flying up on him, just decided, you know what, there's been so much attrition already, I'm going to be happy with just losing the 1 spot if it means that I can, you know, live to fight another day. He is still up 4 from where he started today as well, so I'm pretty sure he will not be complaining about coming out on top of that in the 5th position still.
Yeah, still he's having a great race. He's in the top 5, and it's nothing to sniff at. But I think it's basically as Baja set the fastest lap of the race, the last lap as well. So yeah, he's absolutely flying.
Right now, what can Thomasin do? Can he try to maybe run down Omar Baja to take the 4th position? I don't think he's going to be able to, because look at how far ahead Baja is already, you know, extending that gap. At this point in time, there are 2 cars that have not really moved at all from where they started today. One of those drivers is Omar Baja, who just picked his way back up the order to be up where he started. The only other driver is Jacob Uberslack, who's back in 7th after he was as far up as 3rd place once a blue movement.
Absolutely, but yeah, it looks like everything's just went relatively quiet at the moment, and at the moment the quickest man on track still is Omar Baja, and I think Baja, I wouldn't surprise him out of finishing on the podium, because the next car ahead of him is probably around about 4 or 5 seconds, something like that.
Well, and this is exactly what I was kind of saying at the top of the broadcast too, is that we're probably going to get a lot of the action in the early stages of the race. This just kind of single file out and get to be a bit more processional as time goes on, and that is what is starting to happen here as well. It looks like, though, we could see a potential battle for the lead coming up here soon, as Danilo Sanfilippo has been slowly trying to close the gap to Dylan Freckleton. He's just barely hovering at the tail end of the draft at the moment. It is such a struggle right now. They were almost dead even on lap times last time by. Dylan Freckleton was a 59.310. Sanfilippo was a 59.396.
Yep, and Sanfilippo at the moment, there you go, he's in the background there, and he's just about within draft range. I think draft range of these cars is about probably a second or just under a second, so I think Sanfilippo, it wouldn't surprise me if he tries to go for a move on the back straight next time around if he gets close enough.
1.1 seconds separating the pair of them now. Should note as well that Danilo Sanfilippo is on the medium tires, which don't have as much performance as the soft tires do, like Dylan Freckleton has, but his tires can hold more performance in them for a longer period of time. So right now, I think the soft tires have started to fall off a little bit, and Sanfilippo, his medium tires are starting to come into effect now, because he has been slowly chipping away at Freckleton's lead over the past few laps.
And that's what I was saying before, as we ride on board with Sanfilippo now and heading into the back straight, and they see now he's getting a lot closer to the leader. But it's like I was saying before, Nolan, that the soft tyres are quick, but they seem to drop off quicker, and the medium tyres just seem to have that better performance over a stint and seem to just last a bit longer.
8th and 9th are much closer than these two drivers are. They're still on the lead lap, but they're only half a second apart right now, throwing their way through the S right now. These are the last cars running on track at the moment. It's still on the lead lap as well. Radek Sikora gets a terrible couple corners though and loses a lot of time to Aaron Roos out in front. They were as close as a quarter of a second though, coming down the front straightaway last time by.
Yep, absolutely, and it may be like the last couple of places on track, but still, it's you never know. It's still a battle for just to try and gain another position, but the cars up ahead could have issues, so you never know. These guys, if they just keep it clear and just keep going around doing laps, they'll be able to gain a few more positions, hopefully.
is slowly reeling him in. He is definitely within the drafting range. It's about 3/4 of a second now between them. He's just got to be very careful here. I think the dirty air is what's really hurting Sakura at the moment through this first sector, because it is just so severe as you try to follow in these cars. He closed in by about another 1/10 there. It's down to 6/10 of a second now. Count it down to half a second as they fly up, though, towards turn number 4, but it's not going to be enough to really close on him. Maybe if he can get a good exit out of turn 7 here down the back straightaway.
Yeah, you never know. As we ride on board with the 14 car of Redek Sakura heading onto the back straight now, and he's getting closer to Aram Roos, but I don't think he'll be close enough to make a move into that back straight chicane.
And not quite. Didn't get as good of an exit as he needed off turn number 7, so he's going to close in by about 3/10 of a second, though. It's down to 7/10 from about a second as to where it was just at the top of the lap. Now it's down to half a second, though, as he gets a much better exit than Roofs down out of the chicane. 3/10 of a second now, down to turn number 1 he goes. Radek Sakura definitely wants to get this position.
It looks like the battle for second place is getting really close as well. And Dylan Freckleton's still leading, but Daniel Sanfilippo rather is actually getting caught by Cal Young in the background.
P5 is also looking really close between Rashad Craig and Thomas Zine right now. The number 10 car is the one that's just trying to fend off the spots here. He's trying to hang on to a top 5 finish coming out of today. Rashad Craig is just behind him by about 3/10 of a second. It is so fun as they throw themselves through turn number 4. These guys still making sure that they're keeping nice and close. Even though there's only 9 of them on course, they're still giving us plenty of action to look at. Look at how close he is to turn 7, though. We're definitely going to see an overtake attempt here coming down the back straightaway.
Yeah, Rashad's got the run now, and he's getting closer in the slipstream now, but Thomas has to go defensive. He goes to the inside, and he's still onside, so he might be able to keep the inside line for the chicane, but actually decides to let Rashad go.
And not much point in defending against Rashad Craig there when he saw how close he was going to be. Close to the pin entry lane by just the smallest of margins as well as they come back over the line, and officially Thomas Zine dumped out of the top 5. Not what he wanted to have happen. Let's look back up to the battle for what is right now about 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. 4th and 3rd are the closest guys in this grouping. That's Cal Young versus Omar Baja once more.
Yep, Daniel Sanfilippo as well is just ahead of this battle behind him, and he's got a bit of a gap to them, so I think it's just basically Cal Young and Omar Baja just battling away. It's allowing him to just have a bit of a gap, and I think Baja's getting closer now, so I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for the move up the inside into the chicane.
Cal Young breaks early, allows Baja to get that position, but he's going to try to go for the crossover here on the exit of the hairpin, on the exit of the chicane. Now look at how close he is here. Down through turn 12, the final corner, and almost flat out in these machines, but not able to really get the run he needs down that front straightaway. Omar Baja hangs on into turn number 1.
Yep, so Omar Baja up into 3rd place now, and it's just amazing how quickly he's got back through the field, considering starting from the pit lane. And he's up into 3rd place at the moment, and just ahead of him is Daniel Sanfilippo, and I think Omar Baja is just absolutely just giving it everything, and he's having a fantastic run at the moment.
Yeah, all that battling, though, has cost him some time, though, because he's 1.8 seconds back now from Danilo Sanfilippo, which is certainly not what he was hoping to see in the run down the back straightaway here. Now, Cal Young not going to be nearly close enough to make this look here back into turn number 1. He's going to have to just wait and kind of hang on to see if maybe this one can shape up for him later on in the race. He might have to reset a bit, let the tires cool down before going for the position once the tires have cooled down just a little bit more. Should note as well, the battle for the race leader here and Danilo Sanfilippo right behind him, they're still close. They're much closer now, about 6/10 apart. They're also starting to catch that battle for 9th and 8th, which is still going on. They're, I want to say, about 10 seconds or so up the road from them.
Yeah, that's the thing. I wonder if the two leaders, or maybe Freckleton, if he catches up to the couple of back markers in front of him, if he gets close enough, I wonder if he'll pit early and maybe just try not to lose too much time.
Sooner or later, one of these battles has got to end in a wreck. I mean, I think that's kind of safe to say with how this race is gone so far. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some fireworks come from one of these battles for the end of the race. Why don't we take a look at the battle for 8th again? Because they are still mighty close. Right now, the closest couple we got on the track so far, as a matter of fact. Just diving their way through turns 1 and 2 now. Radek Sikora still trying to find a way to catch up to Aaron Roos, but he just overshoots turn 2 a little bit more this time again. And it is just continuing to cost him time, or turn 3, excuse me.
Yep, and I think just the battle for the race lead is not too far behind as well, so it's just a matter of time before the two leaders catch up to the 8th and 9th battle. And I think it's interesting. I wonder if 8th and 9th will be more than willing to let them go, or if because they're in their own battle they won't make it as easy.
The leaders are right now lapping about 1.5 seconds a lap faster than Aaron Roos and Radek Sikora are. So that is showing you the speed differential here, which is what comes from a split field. Of course, there are 2 splits today. We are, of course, looking over the top split right now, which has 1 extra driver than what is in the second lower split at the moment. Danilo Sanfilippo still trying to find a way to close it in. I think we might have to wait here, though, for this one to shape up. Omar Baja, the first driver to come down to pit road.
Yep. So Baja into the pits now, and it looks like I'm interested to see what tyres he takes. Will he switch from the softs to the mediums and try and do a long run to the finish?
He comes down into his pit box here near the end of pit road. Let's keep with him here. We'll see what tires he takes. Does he go soft? It's going to be medium tires to the end of the race for Omar Baja.
So he's leaving the pits now, and that was about an 8.8 second pit stop. And I think, I think he just decided to pit early, get the mediums on, and maybe just try and go as long as possible and make it to the finish, and maybe just put on sort of hot laps and try and jump a couple of guys in front of him, or basically try and stretch out the gap when he takes back over third place.
Radek Sikora finally got past Aaron Roos. Got it this last time by, down the back straightaway in the braking zone for turn number 10, and he is starting to rocket away with that position. He's just got to make sure that he can keep that car stable and underneath him so we can continue to expand on this gap. But already he's got almost a second gap over the car right behind him.
Yep, as the 2 leaders are coming up behind them now, and Dylan Freckleton is definitely starting to feel the pressure from Daniel Sanfilippo, who's got that gap down to just under a second, or actually down to about 7/10 of a second now. So riding on board with Dylan heading onto the back straight, and I think Dylan's tyres, soft tyres, are maybe starting to wear off slightly.
Right on board Dylan Freckleton. Those 2 cars in front are the drivers of Radek Sikora and Aaron Roos, who are still in the midst of their own battle for 8th and 9th. That is how close right now these guys are. So Sanfilippo and Freckleton are both going to have to be very careful here, unless Freckleton decides to come into pits so he doesn't have to worry about the lap traffic and maybe gap them through the pit stop cycle. But the question is he going to like to do that? I think they're going to be catching them here on this next lap.
It's more than possible. I mean, they're coming up to the S's now, and yeah, they're not close at the moment, but I think they'll probably, the best chance of getting by both the back markers is probably on that back straight, where there's you won't get held up too much.
Oh, these cars just love to dance around right on the edge of control. I mean, it is such a fine line with these cars. They really don't want to, obey the driver at all. You really have to reel them in. Just now, Aaron Roos gets put 1 lap down as Dylan Freckleton and Danilo Sanfilippo make their way by. Now they've just got to worry about Radek Sikora just up the road. Sikora's got to be careful here to make sure that he loses as little time as possible to Aaron Roos behind him, because that is going to be critical here for Sikora if he wants to maintain that 8th position.
Absolutely, as they're coming across the line now, and Dylan Freckleton is absolutely, Sanfilippo is definitely closer now. He's got that gap down to about half a second as they head through turn 1 and up to the S's yet again. And Sanfilippo has just absolutely thrown that car into the corners.
Oh, but Sanfilippo just cannot get the power down properly in these corners. He gets such a good run down the hill, but he just always overshoots a couple very crucial corners that you have to get right to keep your momentum up. That's the only reason really why he hasn't caught Freckleton at the moment, is because of that. And that is just it really is just killing his race here. It's not easy at all to see something like that taking place. Thomas Seen has lost 4th place, should note as well. he might have had a bit of an issue of his own, potentially in the first sector, because all of a sudden, apparently it happened some time ago as it is. So, going to keep our eyes here on this battle for the lead. One of the back markers that has just come on in, that is Ray Dexicora, making his trip to pit road. Cal Young comes in right behind him.
Yep, so Cal Young into the pits now, and the two leaders up at the front, they go around for another lap. I'm interested to see if when these guys come in, but I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to stretch this run until right up until lap 30, and it means they can just come in, get fresh tyres, and then it'll set them to the end.
Both Sikora and Cal Young go on to fresh sets of soft tires. No surprise there. If you can make it past halfway on one set of soft tires, why wouldn't you use soft tires right through to the end of the race? That would certainly make sense to me. First place, still looking close, still about half a second apart. Sanfilippo really just has to get these corners right. He's got to get these momentum down here in that first half of the lap so he can reel him in. Neither driver elected a pit still. They're still staying out there. 23 to go.
Yeah, as we come across the line now to start lap 27, and Sanfilippo is getting closer and closer. He's about 4/10. I was about to say 4/10 of a second, but he's a lot closer than that now as they come down through the S's. And I think Sanfilippo is definitely the quicker driver at the moment. He's so close.
Sanfilippo's got to get a good turn 6 and 7 here. If he can do that, he should be able to theoretically come out of this with the race lead. Through turn 7 they go. Will he be close to make the move? I think he's going to be just close enough that he can have this look here down to that turn 10. So we're going to have to see here. Does Frackleton go defensive, or does he try to go on the offensive or just let him through? That's going to be the big question here. Sanfilippo makes the look. Not close enough, though, for the lunge.
Yeah, I think he was close enough, but I don't think he wanted to throw it inside as Freckleton's into the pits.
Freckleton takes the lead away and is going to give up the lead, and come down to pit road, trying to go for the undercut here. Now, Danilo Sanfilippo has got to respond to this. If he does not come in within the next couple laps, surely it is going to be detrimental for his battle for the race lead. He's got to come down this lap, while Freckleton is still going to be working on getting those tires up to temperatures. Oh, Freckleton misses the pit box!
Yeah, Freckleton's leaving the pits now, and just watching Omar Baja as well. He's coming across the line now, but I think Freckleton should just be in front of him. Yeah, he's in front of him, so he's managed to keep that gap to Baja behind him, but I think he's lost about a set 1 or 2 seconds after missing his pit box.
Omar Baja right now is trying to do battle with Cal Young. Baja pitted about 6 laps ago. Cal Young pitted just 2 laps ago. So it's a fierce battle for 4th place all of a sudden. Omar Baja trying to have another run at Cal Young. Jake Roboslack has come down to pit road as well, but let's keep eyes on this battle for the 4th position, because this is the closest thing that we've got on track right now. Down the back straightaway we go. Will we see Baja make that look, you reckon?
It's more than possible. Baja's got the run. I think he's getting closer and closer in the slipstream as they head down to the final chicane. And is Baja going to go for a move up the inside? No, he doesn't. He decides against it.
Decides against it, but he is still so close. Look at how close and how small the gap is. Just a 1/10 of a second down the front straightaway. He's going to try to pass it to turn number 1. He is going to maybe get it work. Not quite. Still side by side. Young fighting the outside line valiantly, but he is not going to be able to hold him off and count Omar Baja up into P number 4.
Yeah, that was a great move, as Daniel Sanfilippo is still not came into the pits, so I think he's trying to go to lap 30, but I'm a bit surprised that he didn't come in straight away, the 1 lap after Freckleton, just to try and cover him.
Take a look at the replay here of this pass through turn number 1, going side by side. A very daring maneuver, especially in these cars, that you don't see all too often, much less working out all too often. As for what you were mentioning with Danilo Sanfilippo and his pit strategy, it's important to note that our friend there, Dylan Freckleton, did miss the pit box. Aaron Roofs has had troubles. He was just off course just now through turn number 3. Goodness me, Sanfilippo is... this is going to be interesting here for Sanfilippo, though. He's got to try to make this work. You can see how many laps he's been out there as it is. He is on the beating straight, no, so he might be trying to run these tires out to the end of their tire life That way, he doesn't have to take as much fuel as Dylan Freckleton, so he'll overall have a quicker stop, which is going to be helped as well by the fact that Dylan Freckleton did miss his pit box.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point you bring up as well with regards to the tyres. I think Sanfilippo is trying to shout it out as much as possible and then switch to the soft tyres for the end, and then basically just try and hot lap it as much as possible and try and hold on to the lead.
Battle for 7th is heating up. Both these cars at the moment are a lap down. As likely though, because their race leader, Sanfilippo, has not yet stopped. Of course, pit stop. Rashad Craig trying to make the look as Oberslack gets all over the exit curbing. Side by side for turn 7. Gets squeezed out by Oberslack from the right side of the racetrack. The tight right-hander at turn 7. Once more blasting down the back straightaway. Rashad Craig is going to be closing extremely quickly here with the draft. It's down to 2/10, making a 1/10 and a half. Counted down to 1/10. Going to go to the left side of the racetrack, trying to make that dive for the 6th position down into turn number 10. Ends up backing off to allow Oberslack to get the line.
Yeah, Daniel Sanfilippo is in the pits as well, by the way, in from the lead, but I'm just keeping an eye on Dylan Freckleton to see where he is, but I think this is going to be very, very close as Freckleton's just coming down to the final chicane.
Sanfilippo is in his box now, currently on the jacks. He's staying on the medium compound here. So potentially fresh beatings with Danilo Sanfilippo. Interesting choice when you've got 17 laps remaining. But Freckleton is going to be way behind as Sanfilippo is out of the pits. 8 seconds Freckleton has got to make up.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised that Sanfilippo didn't go into the softs, but I guess if he feels comfortable in the mediums, it's kind of one of those things. Why change it?
Well, I mean, the soft tires do hold a bit more of a performance advantage in the shorter run here, and a shorter run is what it's going to be through to the finish. He just might not be as comfortable on the soft tires, maybe not as confident, decided the mediums are where it's at for him right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Sanfilippo, he's got a big enough gap behind him after that pit stop, and I think Freckleton missing his pit stop, this basically cost him about 1 or 2 seconds, and it's just basically cost him a chance of possibly taking the win.
The battle for 6th and 7th is still heated up here. Rashad Craig trying to have a run at Jacob Oberslack. He's elected to stay behind, though, which is very wise, actually, through turns 6 and 7, because he's trying to make sure that he can get the maximum amount of draft that he can all the way down the back straightaway here. Now, will Oberslack go defensive? He's all the way hugging the other side of the racetrack. He is going to go defensive. Craig's going to go to the right side to try to make the pass. Oberslack is going to have the inside line, though. Side by side into the final chicane. Oberslack still comes out on top. Rashad Craig has got to run wide to avoid running in to the number 11.
Yep, absolutely. Dylan Freckleton, I'm just having a look now, he's had issues in missing his front wing.
Did you say Dylan Freckleton is missing his front wing?
Yeah, Dylan Freckleton.
Oh yeah, so he is.
He's on the back straight.
Dylan Freckleton has had a spin down in the S's, it would appear, on lap 33. And that is critical for the race lead. Lap 33, this took place, so about a lap ago at this point. He's still trying to get to the pits. Here's a look at the replay. This is going to be kind of one lap up. We're going to stay with this. There isn't a whole lot going on track here at the moment, so we're just going to stay with this here so we can kind of watch if this develops in the turns coming up prior.
Yeah, I missed the incident happening itself. It was just when I was browsing through the field that I just spotted that he had no front wing. So, yeah, it was like I'm guessing anyway. He's had an issue on the exit of the S's possibly, and maybe just got wheel spin. But still looking at the replay now, and it looks like it looks all fine at the moment. But it looks like it's happened in the middle of sector 1.
Continue to watch on board here with Dylan Freckleton to see exactly where this happened for it to mess up so badly. This has really helped out Danilo Sanfilippo cut up a huge break here. So here we go, down the hill, one of the most treacherous parts of the track. Oh, just took too much curve. Just lost the back end, and that is a huge hit to the inside.
It's such an easy place to make a mistake as well. And yeah, it looks like he just carried to. It's full fine on the entry of the S's, but again, he just clipped that inside curve heading down through the S's, and it just unsettled the car.
It was the curbing transitioning, because he actually ran over where the curb juts out suddenly from the racetrack, and that is enough to unsettle these cars. Just shows how fragile these things can be.
Yep, absolutely. That means that the leader, Daniel Sanfilippo, is basically, he's all by himself, and he's got no one threatening him, so he can just basically coast it to the end. If someone's had an issue.
That's Rashad Craig, who was in a battle with Jacob Ruberslack as well for the final position within the top 5. So yeah, more struggles are starting to be possible with the drivers. At Road Atlanta, despite us having 7 cars in the lead lap, still give us excitement. This was also in Sector 1. Take a look at this. He goes off, and hang on, this already comes flying. Overslack, I think, went off just in front of him as well. And he might have just followed target fixation.
Yeah, it's just, there's not many cars in the race now, but it's still...
Oh, yeah, both of them.
That was a bit of a cut.
Overslack went off first, and Rashad Craig was so focused on him that he just followed him off.
Yep, several people having issues as we come towards the end of the race, but... Oh my.
Well, we're down to 12 laps to go. Jacob Ruberslack has hang on, the position swapped again. Jacob Ruberslack actually had a bit of an incident in the final corner as well, which caused the position to swap right back into Rashad Craig. After that big mess up, is up into P5. Once again, it just keeps on coming. All these different incidents. So take a look at Ruberslack here. Over the crest of the hill, coming downhill, just loses the back end, just loops around on him. That was a bit of a scary moment for Jacob Ruberslack as well. And he just got sideways going over the hill, and it's so easy to make a mistake there as well, or so easy for the car to just become light. Luckily Jacob Rashad rather slams on the brakes. There you see Overslack off into the grass just up there and just sweeps on by. Very easy pass from Rashad Craig, who's no doubt going to be quite happy with picking up fifth place after that major mess up he had a couple laps prior. Oh boy! Talk about getting a bit close to the grass there. Both drivers flying through turn 1 there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just looking through the field as well, Nolan, and most of the field up to 5th place has pretty much been lapped, so the other 4 cars are still on the lead lap.
It appears that we only have, like you said, 4 cars now on the lead lap. One of those cars is Omar Baja, who's almost 9 seconds back from Danilo Sanfilippo, your race leader. The other driver is Cal Young, who is right now sitting about 15 seconds back from your race leader. Then you can see Thomas Zine, who's 38 seconds back in the last car on the lead lap. The timing on the side there shows the gap all the way up to the race leader. You can see everywhere back of 9th place is very much out of the race. And in fact, so is 8th place as well. So we've only got half the field left here, and half of that half of the field is on the lead lap. So a quarter of the field on the lead lap here. Something that we're starting to grow a little more accustomed to.
Yeah, and at the moment it's still Daniel Sanfilippo leading at the moment, and Road Atlanta was expecting to cause a bit of mayhem, but I wasn't expecting this much. But at the moment, Daniel Sanfilippo is pretty much kept out of trouble, and he might not be in the quickest car on track, but he's kept out of trouble, got into the lead, and pretty much just all by himself.
I want to point out as well that Danilo Sanfilippo's last lap was a 59.474. Omar Baja's lap, a 58.810. That is about half a second gain on Danilo Sanfilippo. So Omar Baja is starting to put on the pressure, and he has started to just ever so slightly close in the gap. It's not by much. It might not be enough to win the race in the end. He's only got 10 laps remaining. But it is closing nonetheless. There you can see actually the gaps and how much it's fluctuated in comparison to his own lap times here.
Yeah, just looking at his lap times as well, pretty much he's pretty much been Mr. Consistent, and at the moment he's just giving it everything to try and close that gap down to the leader, but I think he's just running out of time, and I think at the moment he's just he might be able to close the gap down, but I don't think he'll be close enough to try and challenge for the lead.
Extremely difficult for him to do that. At least it's not an easy track to really reel in time, especially when you got lap traffic to worry about as well. On top of it all, it's coming up on Rush on Craig now. First car a lap down, running at 5th at the moment.
As Bahar heads into the chicane now, and yeah, he's got the gap down to about just under 80 seconds, and he's just pretty much given it everything. And he's had he's had a great race to come back from starting in the pits and pretty much last up into 2nd place now. So yeah, he's put in a brilliant performance.
Well, while we got some downtime here, why don't we take a look at the season schedule and the 4 races that we've got coming up to end off the first season here of 2021. Coming on up here in this next week is going to be Autodromo Nacional Monza, which in my opinion will be one of the most thrilling races we've got all year. These cars are very draft dependent. That is a drafting track if ever I've seen one. Then comes the Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps, going to be coming up on February the 16th. Road America follows with February 23rd. Road America is going to be a very interesting track as well. Very long straights, a lot of very hard braking zones in there as well. It's like the American version of Monza in many senses, actually. And then finishing it off at a very famous and a very historic track, Interlagos, on March the 5th, before we roll over to the next season of Friday Night Prime Time after taking a break for week 13. Got a lot of very thrilling tracks coming on up. But honestly, the 2 I can't wait for are Monza and Road America. Those 2 tracks share so many similarities. They're both quite long. They both have incredibly long straights. They both have a lot of very hard braking zones, but fast, sweeping corners as well. They're both tracks that would just suit these cars perfectly.
Yeah, I have to agree as well. The ones I'm looking forward to is Road America and also Monza as well. Just probably my favourite tracks when it comes to open wheelers, and I think we should be in for a great race at those 2 tracks, but also Interlagos as well. And I think it's great tracks to ride out the season.
A lot of very famous tracks as well. I mean, I will admit, we have had a few tracks that some could argue might not have... Oh, hang on! Rashad Craig has just had a huge slam. He's just struck the inside wall in the middle of the SS there. You can see him just stopped on the track. You remember a few laps ago when somebody clipped the inside curbing? He did the exact same thing.
Looking at the replay, heading into turn 1, and it's all going to just about to go horribly wrong on the entry of the S's, and he gets the entry right, but it just seems to be... he just clipped that curb and unsettles the car, and into the wall she goes.
Carbon copy of the wreck that we saw take place earlier that claimed Dylan Freckleton, I believe. Exactly what happened to him. That is just so unfortunate. You see, it just doesn't take much. It takes that little jumps out of the car, and that is a tremendous slam into the barriers.
Yep, and it seems to be the case with these cars as well, Nolan, that if you touch the curb ever so slightly or touch them ever so wrong, it just unsettles the car. And you pretty much a pass reserve most of the time into the wall, as we saw with Freckleton and Rashad Craig.
So that leaves us with, I believe, 8 cars in the running now. Check that. It's going to leave us with 7 cars in the running now. So we've got less than half the field left at this point. Road Atlanta, claims yet another victim as we are coming up now with 5 laps to go.
Yep, and I have to say, I've actually really enjoyed this race. It's we've had the issues with several drivers having incidents, but overall, this car around Road Atlanta, it seems to be good fun to watch. But I don't know about actually racing the car. I would probably be terrified.
I still, to this day, have not managed to get 1 lap clean in this machine. I have tried at every venue I can possibly think of even the easiest of tracks you can find in sim, like Lime Rock Park, have never been able to do it. I don't know if it's me. It probably is me. I just cannot drive the car. It takes so much talent to not just drive the car, but to then drive the car and be quick with it too on a consistent basis. That is why these guys are showing that they deserve to be in this top split, and why they are really the best of the best when it comes to running this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's drivers I've watched in the past that have raced open wheelers and they've been lightning quick, and I just think to myself, how can they be so quick every lap? And it's just, you get some drivers that are quick in open wheelers, you get some drivers that are quick in GT cars or prototypes, and yeah, Daniel Sanfilippo has proven why he's one of the quickest people in this car, in this series this season, and again, in the lead, and on course to take the win.
Truly is a driver's car, and Daniel Sanfilippo would certainly not complain about getting the race win. Probably would have preferred to do battle with Dylan Freckleton, but that just is the way of racing. It really happens. It really just sometimes happens that way, and that's not at all what Dylan Freckleton wanted to see. I know we thought Tim Dallara was going to have a fantastic run today, and it was going to be another race of Tim Dallara domination. He was one of the first drivers out on just the second lap of the race as well.
Yep, as Sanfilippo comes round the final corner and over the crest and over the line to start lap 47. So we've got about just under 3 laps remaining in this race, and he's coming up over the hill now, heading to the S's. And for me, anyway, on this section of Road Atlanta is one of my favourites, just because you're going downhill basically flat out most of the time, and you've kind of got to not fully brake, but you've got to kind of get this entry right for the exit of the S's. But you've got to watch not to clip that bump on the exit.
I think that's not just one of your favorite parts, but I think that's why people love Road Atlanta so much. That first sector really is like one of the defining characteristics of the track. Much like how, if you take out the corkscrew from Laguna Seca, it just isn't the same. It's the same thing here. That is why people come for this track, is for that section of the track. It's certainly not the best place you can pass in, but it's just so unique, much like Suzuka's first sector, how it's so tight and twisty S's. It's the same thing here, except this one is a heck of a lot more extreme, it could be said. Yeah,
and I'm with you as well. Laguna Seca is such an iconic track, and for me anyway, the corkscrew is one of my favourite corners, just because it's just so rewarding when you get it right, especially on the exit, but it's so easy to just get it wrong and spin out.
Sanfilippo just has to keep it stable here for a couple more laps, and he's going to be settled. About 1.5 laps remaining. Omar Baja has continued to kind of close in the gap to 6.8 seconds, but at this point in time, the only way he's going to be able to catch Sanfilippo is if he really messes up. So all that two car's got to do is just cruise to the finish.
Yep, absolutely. He's just pretty much cruising around now. He's got a back marker ahead of him, but I don't think it's going to cause too many problems, as Sanfilippo now is coming round the final couple of corners now to start the final lap. And he's on course to pretty much take the win, and he's putting out a great performance heading into turn 1 now, and just look at the speed he carries.
We'll continue to ride on board with him here as we thunder down the hill for the final time today. It's been an absolutely thrilling ride from start to finish. Just gotta hope that all 7 cars here can join us at the end as well. Turn 6 and 7 for the last time today, and the blast down the back straightaway, the fastest these cars can get at Road Atlanta here. For the last time today, it has been a fantastic run for Daniel Sanfilippo. Had to really work for it at the start to fend off Dylan Freckleton, but in the end of the day, the pit call is what got him out 8 seconds in front. And now, as he throws his way to the final chicane, it is going to also equate to what is potentially going to be a race win here. Just one more corner to go. If he can handle this one, he's going to be all safe and sound. He is going to handle it all safe and sound. Danilo Sanfilippo wins it at Road Atlanta, and right behind him is Omar Baja.
Yep, Baja finishing in second, and just waiting for the third place finisher, Cal Young, to come round now. And he's coming round the final chicane now, but he's under a bit of, well, I thought he was under a bit of pressure, but it's just a back marker. But Cal Young coming round now to finish on the final step of the podium.
Fantastic run for all the drivers involved. Only one driver left on the lead lap to finish the race. That is going to be Thomas Zine, who's right now coming up to the final chicane. I believe the last car is going to be Ray Dexicora to finish off the race. He's just now down the back straightaway. Wow, that honestly, even when we only had, say, 8 or 7 cars left, we were still having things to talk about. That was, again, a fantastic race, as always, week in, week out.
Yeah, it was a great race. There was issues going on at the start of the race, and then halfway through the race, people were having issues still, and it threw up a bit of a shock result. And I was expecting Tim Dallara to come through and just take a dominant win, but unfortunately he had issues in the early stages, and it threw up a bit of a shock winner with Daniele Sanfilippo.
All the cars haven't crossed the line. Let's take a quick step back, and we'll go over the official results from round number 8 of the Dallara Formula IR Series. Danilo Sanfilippo is back to victory lane, just 5.7 seconds behind is going to be Omar Baja. Cal Young rounds out the podium. Thomas Zine is going to be finishing off last car on the lead lap, down in 4th place. Jacob Uberslack is in 5th. Radek Sikora in 6th. Aaron Roofs, the last driver to finish the race, down in 7th. Rashad Craig, Dylan Franklinton, and Steve Honan all round out 8th, 9th, and 10th. The last 5 drivers who didn't make it past lap 3, Adam Cohn, Tim DeLisle, Marcos Sanfilippo, Pablo Suarez, and Ruben Denker to round out a 15-car field here today. Another thrilling race, if not the biggest field in the world. Who knows what a few extra cars would have given us, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like you say, it was a great race, and several incidents happening, but still, I enjoyed that race, and I'm looking forward to next week.
I think we're all looking forward to next week. I already saw it in the YouTube chat kind of being discussed a little bit down there about how Monza was next week, and people were just kind of thinking, it was like, oh gosh, yeah, that's right, Monza's next week. Monza is going to be a fantastic track. These cars have proven that they are so good in the draft, and Monza is probably one of the only tracks where you can really pack race in an open wheel car. I mean, we've seen that time and time again, and it's just such a great track for racing. I have yet to commentate a race at Monza that is not an absolute joy. Would expect nothing less from this series.
Yeah, I absolutely love Monza. It's such an iconic track. It's got a great history behind it. And I do love the Grand Prix layout. I'm not such a fan of the layout that we use now in real life, but I prefer the old chicanes that we used in real life for turn 1 chicane. But it's kind of just the way it goes with all the safety stuff going on. But still, it's a great track, and I think with these cars, we should be in for another great race.
We always are. I mean, the cars are practically built for the track. And don't forget as well, we got Circuit de Spa-Francorchamps coming up right after that. We head over to Belgium for the final European race of the year. That is going to be a very entertaining race as well. Of course, Spa has got a lot of rich history behind it. It's a fantastic track. It's a very beautiful facility as well. Still have yet to go there myself, but I've heard very great things. Cannot wait to go to that track as well. There are 4 absolute gems on a schedule that are coming up, and I think nobody can wait for it more than we can.
Yep, absolutely. And yeah, I think Monza is, I think it'll be similar to Spa, where you get loads of draft or basically slipstream racing as well. So I think but I think it'll make it more exciting next week.
No doubt is going to make it more exciting for us next week. Well, it is looking like we are coming to a close for another presentation in the Dallara Formula IR Series. Ryan, why don't you give us your final thoughts here before we close things off for tonight?
I think it was a bit of a crazy race, to be honest. It was just so much going on. It was a bit of a shock result. It was unfortunate Tim DeLisle had an issue, but hopefully he'll be back next week, and if so, he should be able to hopefully try and redeem himself at Monza.
Well, with that in mind, that is going to be just about all the time we're going to have for one day. It's been an absolutely fantastic run, as it always is. Bringing you all the coverage from start to finish here for the Dallara Formula IR Series. I've been Lorenzo, bringing you coverage here from flag to flag here at Road Atlanta, with Ryan Walker helping beside me today in the commentary box. Connery Maddock, as always, downstairs behind the overlays and the cameras for today's race. Special thanks, as always, to TrackCast22 for the cameras that they allow us to use. My goodness me, what a thrilling race. Cannot wait for next week. We thank you all for joining us once again here on RaceSpotTV for Friday Night Primetime. We'll see you all in February.